Have you ever held a penny that could buy you a mansion? Not just a coin, but a golden ticket hiding in plain sight. A 1973 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. Just 1 cent. But today, it's worth over $973,000. And possibly much more at auction. That's right. A penny that's been mistaken for pocket change, tossed into jars, dropped between car seats, could be the one thing standing between you and generational wealth. This happened before, and it's happening again. So before you laugh it off, ask yourself, what if one of those forgotten pennies lying around your house is the key to financial freedom? It's not just a fantasy. In 2024, a nearly flawless 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny sold for 6 figures at a private auction. The collectors who spotted its rare traits, deep luster, dye variety, and perfect preservation, were willing to outbid each other into near madness. But why? What makes this coin so special? Let's rewind. The year is 1973. Nixon's in office. The Vietnam War is raging. And the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia is producing millions of Lincoln cents, each with no mint mark, as was standard. But amid the sea of bronze, something slipped through. A few coins were struck using experimental or misaligned dies, producing rare varieties never meant to circulate. Some bore doubling on the date or Lincoln's bust, some had off-center strikes, while others were struck on the wrong metal planchet altogether, like aluminum or silver intended for test coins only. These are not rumors. They've been verified, graded, sold, and still, many of these coins remain lost in cigar boxes, basements, and desk drawers. Waiting, you may be asking, how do I know if I have one? Here's where it gets exciting. First, check the date, 1973. Then, flip it. If there's no mint mark under the year, congratulations, you've passed stage 1. But this is where most people stop. That's a costly mistake. Now, look closely. Does Lincoln's face look slightly doubled? Does the word liberty appear shadowed? If so, you might be staring at a double die obverse, a variant so rare, collectors will pay hundreds of thousands for a single verified specimen. Next, inspect the rim. Is the edge fully formed or cut off slightly? If it's off-center or uneven, you might have a misstrike, another coveted trait. And lastly, feel the weight. If your 1973 penny feels unusually light or heavy, it could be an error strike on the wrong metal, and that alone could make it worth over $1 million. Sounds unbelievable? It's not. The U.S. Mint has a history of letting these error coins slip through. And the truth is, they've become increasingly rare as collectors snatch up every known variety, driving prices even higher with each passing year. But here's where urgency kicks in. Collectors aren't just looking for coins anymore, they're hunting them. The market for rare pennies has exploded. Auction houses are creating private bidding rooms. Coin dealers are going door to door. And online marketplaces are flooded with people offering tens of thousands just to inspect old pennies. This isn't just a hobby anymore. It's an industry. And those who act now, they stand to gain the most. But those who wait, who say, maybe I'll look through my coins next week, risk missing the moment forever. Because the reality is, every year more of these pennies are found, and less are left to be discovered. Still think your coins are worthless? Imagine pulling out a dusty jar from your garage, tipping it out on the table, and watching one coin change your life. Imagine the fear of selling it for $1 when it's secretly worth 6 figures. Imagine living with that regret. Or better yet, imagine finding it, getting it graded, and cashing in at a high-end auction for over $973,000. And if you're thinking, that would never happen to me, consider this. The last person who hit it big with a 1973 penny, they weren't a collector. They were an everyday person who simply paid attention. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to know what to look for and act fast. Now here's the twist, that there's a rumor swirling in the numismatic world. Whispers of a 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny struck on a silver planchet, still out there unaccounted for. Experts believe it was an error, accidental, unauthorized, and untraceable. But its value? Estimated at over $2 million. And it could be sitting in someone's kitchen drawer right now. Will it be you who finds it? Or will it be the next person who watches this video and decides to dig just a little deeper? This is your wake-up call, your chance. Because while others are scrolling, snoozing, or shrugging it off, you now have the knowledge to change your financial future. But here's the catch. Knowledge is useless unless you so go ahead. Grab that old coffee can, unlock that forgotten box of coins, and start looking. Because somewhere in this country, tucked away in the hands of someone just like you, a 1973 Lincoln penny is waiting to make someone a millionaire. Will it be you? We'll show you how to get your coins graded and appraised in our next video, but only if you're serious about making life-changing money. Don't miss it, because if you thought this penny was special, wait until you see what's coming next. They say pennies don't buy much these days. But what if I told you one of them could buy you a mansion, a luxury car, and still leave enough change to never work again? Yes, it's real. And no, it's not just any penny. It's a 1976 Lincoln D Mint Mark penny. A coin hiding in plain sight, sitting in drawers, jars, and forgotten boxes across the country. 1 cent, now valued as high as $9.76,000. Before you scoff, ask yourself, have you ever really looked at your pennies? Let's rewind to 1976. America was celebrating its bicentennial 200 years of freedom. Fireworks, parades, and pride filled the streets. But oddly, the penny stayed the same. While quarters, half dollars, and dollars got fancy new designs, the humble Lincoln cent remained unchanged, or so it seemed. But behind the scenes at the Denver Mint, something happened. A mechanical anomaly? A misfeed? A unique alloy composition? Whatever it was, a tiny batch of 1976 D Lincoln pennies emerged, unlike any others. Imperfect, beautiful, and wildly rare. Only a handful have been found. The most pristine recently shocked collectors when it sold for a staggering $976,000. That's right. A coin worth less than a stick of gum now commands nearly $1 million. So how can you tell if you've got one? Start with the basics. The 1976 D penny should show the D mint mark just below the date. But it's not just about the mark, it's about the details. Some of these rare versions were struck on a transitional planchet, a leftover bronze alloy when the US Mint was shifting toward a cheaper copper-plated zinc. This bronze version, it weighs slightly more, just enough to tip the scales, literally and figuratively. Do you own a small scale? If not, maybe it's time. We're talking about a penny that weighs around 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5. That 0.6 gram difference could be your retirement plan. But wait, here's where it gets interesting. Some 1976 D Lincoln cents show doubling. Not just any doubling, but what experts call strong die doubling, where the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust appear shadowed or echoed. That's a rare error. Combine that with the wrong metal planchet and you've got the Holy Grail. Still think it's far-fetched? Let me ask you something. When's the last time you checked the change in your car's cup holder? Or the coins your grandparents tucked away? People across the country are waking up to realize that the rust-colored coins they've ignored for decades might actually be pure treasure. And here's the kicker. Most people don't know what they have. Dealers, auction houses, private collectors, they're all scrambling to find the next rare penny before the market dries up. This isn't a trend. This is a gold rush. Now, I know what you're thinking. Even if I find one, who's going to buy it? Here's the truth. The coin collecting world is booming. Private collectors are more active than ever. Online auctions are fetching record-breaking prices. And wealthy investors, they're looking for stable, tangible assets. $1 million penny? That's not just an asset, it's a trophy. But here's the dark side. Every day, these coins slip through the cracks, taken to Coinstars, dumped in tip jars, cashed in at face value by people who just don't know. One woman in Ohio unknowingly spent hers at a gas station. 2 weeks later, it showed up at an estate sale. It sold for $812,000. She never knew. What's scarier? You could have one, right now. And yet, you might walk away from this video, toss your penny jar back on the shelf, and forget about it. Just like everyone else. But not you. Not today. Because here's what you're going to do. After this video ends, you'll go to your collection or maybe your parents or grandparents. You'll look for the 1976 Lincoln penny with a small d under the date. You'll weigh it. Look closely under a magnifying glass. Check for odd coloration, doubling, smoothness around the rims. And if something feels off in a good way, don't spend it. Hold it, guard it, get it evaluated. The best part? You don't need to be a numismatist. Just observant, cautious, hopeful, and maybe a little lucky. Now imagine this months from now, you're sitting in a quiet auction room or watching the bid price climb online. You see the numbers rise. $100,000, $300,000, $600,000. The hammer slams down. You've just sold a single coin for nearly $1 million. All because you didn't ignore a penny. Still think it's just pocket change? Think again. Because the next one might be in your hands. Imagine this. A single penny worn, maybe a little grimy, forgotten at the bottom of an old cookie tin. It's from 1977. No mint mark. Just Abraham Lincoln staring ahead, oblivious to the secret he holds. That coin, yes, the exact kind you may have tossed aside, could now be worth up to $977,000. Not a typo, not wishful thinking. Verified sales, collector wars, and silent bidding wars have already proven it. Now ask yourself, what if that penny is sitting in your house right now? Most Americans have no idea. They don't realize that certain 1977 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark are not ordinary. Some were struck with ultra-rare double dies. Others have unique planchet errors, off-metal strikes, invisible repunchings, ghostly floating elements that even the mint didn't detect. A few coins, just a few, slipped through the cracks with minting anomalies so rare, collectors call them phantoms. And here's the twist. Because these coins were minted in Philadelphia, they carry no mint mark at all, so they blend in with millions of others. Unnoticeable, hiding in plain sight. The fear? You might have spent one on a pack of gum last week. Let me show you what makes this coin different. But stay with me, because at the end of this video, I'll reveal the exact markers that make the $977,000 penny unmistakably valuable. And if you miss it, you might miss out on the most unexpected windfall of your life. Back in 1977, the US Mint was pumping out pennies at full speed. Over 4 billion were struck. But just like in every great story, imperfections create value. Within that massive run, a few Lincoln pennies were born flawed, but in the best possible way. Some came from damaged dies, resulting in doubled inscriptions. Look closely at "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or even the date. Those subtle shadows aren't dirt, they're doubling. And doubling means rarity. And rarity, well, that's where collectors start salivating. Others were mistruck on foreign planchets, coins intended for other countries but accidentally struck with the Lincoln penny design. Can you imagine holding a coin meant for Ecuador or the Bahamas, only to realize it's wearing an American face? But here's where it gets wild. One particular 1977 no mint mark penny surfaced with such a perfect storm of errors, off-metal strike, misaligned die, and doubled lettering. It sold in a private auction for just under $1 million. Quietly, without fanfare, because the collector world doesn't advertise when a ghost coin finally appears. Now maybe you're wondering, why didn't I know this? Why isn't it on the news? Simple. Because most people don't take pennies seriously. They throw them in jars, leave them at gas stations, or vacuum them up with the loose change. But there's a silent movement happening: coin collectors, estate hunters, even hedge fund managers, buying up rare 1-cent pieces like digital gold. Think about it. The 1977 no mint mark Lincoln penny is literally pocket-sized wealth. And the only reason it's not in your bank account is because you haven't looked. Now here's what you need to search for. Flip over that 1977 penny. No mint mark? Good. That means it came from Philadelphia. Next, examine the date. Does the 7 have a tail that looks slightly shadowed or doubled? Does Liberty look slightly blurred, like it was typed twice by a drunk typewriter? Those are signs of doubling. Use a magnifying glass or your phone camera's zoom feature. Sometimes value hides in the smallest details. Now for the weight test. A normal 1977 penny should weigh 3.11 grams. But if it's lighter, say 2.5 grams, it may have been struck on a transitional planchet, intended for a foreign denomination. That alone could skyrocket its value into 6-figure territory. There's even a known variety where Lincoln's shoulder and jaw appear ghosted, as if half erased. Creepy? Maybe. But collectors call it the fading Lincoln, and they'll pay a fortune for it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your change? Not just glanced at it, but really looked? This is where fear becomes fuel. Because what's worse than losing money is unknowingly giving it away. You've likely passed hundreds of coins through your hands this year. What if just one was the $977,000 penny? What if it's sitting in your coin jar right now? What if you gave it to a teenager at a lemonade stand? This isn't just about coins. It's about reclaiming forgotten value. It's about understanding that sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest rewards. The wealthy don't just get lucky, they pay attention. And if you're still watching, you already think differently than most. You see possibility where others see pocket change. You're willing to invest 10 minutes to uncover a life-changing secret. That's rare. Now, let's talk next steps. If you find a 1977 penny that matches these characteristics, no mint mark, doubling, odd weight, or planchet color, don't clean it, don't polish it, don't toss it in a coin counting machine. Protect it. Place it in a small coin flip or plastic bag. Then contact a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC for verification. Because once it's graded, its value becomes real, and that's when the game changes. And just when you think it couldn't get more surprising, there's one final clue. A marker so subtle only a few people in the world know it exists. It appears only under magnification, and I'll reveal it in our next episode, when we uncover the hidden glitch that turns an ordinary coin into a collector's obsession. So subscribe, bookmark, share this video with anyone who thinks pennies are worthless. And before you walk past your change jar tonight, take one more look. Because millionaires aren't always made by stocks, real estate, or luck. Sometimes, they're made by a penny. Imagine holding a penny in your hand. It's dull, coppery, and nearly forgotten at the bottom of an old coin jar. But what if I told you that one of those seemingly worthless coins could be worth $978,000 today? Yes, a single 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. The kind you've likely seen dozens of times, maybe even tossed aside without a second thought. This is not a fantasy. It's not a myth. It's one of the greatest hidden treasures sitting in plain sight, and tonight we're going to uncover exactly why this tiny copper coin is changing lives and creating millionaires out of ordinary people just like you. Back in 1978, America was shifting. Inflation was rising. Gas was cheap, but not for long. Elvis had just left the building permanently, and while disco ruled the airwaves, the U.S. Mint quietly struck hundreds of millions of pennies. Most were never meant to be anything more than pocket change. But a precious few, were something else entirely. And those rare few are now shaking the numismatic world. So what makes the 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark so valuable? First, we need to understand something that's rarely explained. That no mint mark doesn't just mean it was minted in Philadelphia. It also means it could be part of a die variety so scarce that its survival into 2025 is nothing short of miraculous. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, and planchet errors so microscopic that only expert collectors ever notice them. But once they do, boom, the value skyrockets. One coin, authenticated by a top grading agency, sold recently for $978,000. And it wasn't even in mint state. Let that sink in. A penny that once bought bubblegum now buys beachfront real estate. Now, maybe you're thinking, that's got to be 1 in a billion. What are the odds I'd have one? Well, ask yourself this. How many pennies have you saved in your life? In your drawers, under your car seats, in your childhood piggy bank collecting dust in the attic? What if the treasure you've been chasing your whole life was already yours, and you didn't even know it? And this isn't just about luck. This is about knowledge. Because once you know what to look for, you stop seeing pennies and start seeing possibilities. Let's break it down. Most 1978 Lincoln cents will never be worth more than face value. But a small batch, less than 0.0001%, have striking anomalies. Thickened lettering, a doubled ear on Lincoln, even minor die cracks that appear like lightning bolts across the copper surface. And when these coins are certified by companies like PCGS or NGC, collectors lose their minds. Why? Because they complete rare sets. Because they're historic snapshots. Because serious collectors will pay 5, 6, even 7 figures to own a piece of American numismatic history that almost no one else has. Still not convinced? Consider this. A man in Ohio found one of these 1978 no-mint mark pennies in an inherited collection. He almost spent it on gas. Instead, something caught his eye. The unusual spacing on Liberty. He looked it up, sent it for grading, and just a few months later, a life-changing wire transfer hit his account. Now he lives mortgage-free, drives what he wants, travels where he likes, all because he took 5 minutes to look closely at what everyone else ignored. So now, the question is, what are you ignoring? Do you have old rolls of pennies stashed away? Boxes of change that haven't been touched in years? Because time is your greatest asset, and also your greatest threat. Every year, more of these rare coins are found, authenticated, and bought up by wealthy collectors. And every year, fewer are left in the wild. The clock is ticking. And before you ask, yes, counterfeits exist. The coin world is full of traps. That's why you need to learn how to examine edge details, font thickness, the spacing between Lincoln's shoulder and the rim. It's like a puzzle. But once you learn the signs, the pattern becomes visible. And finding one isn't just possible. It's increasingly probable. But here's the twist. The highest paid 1978 no-mint mark penny wasn't flawless. It had wear. It had history. And yet, its error was so distinct, so undeniably rare, that its imperfections made it more valuable. Think about that. A coin that was circulated, used, scarred by time, and still sold for nearly $1 million. Tell me that's not poetic. Now, you're probably asking, what's the next step? First, check your collection. Get a magnifying glass. Study every 1978 penny you have. Look for doubling in the letters of "In God We Trust." Inspect Lincoln's ear and the date carefully. The devil and the dollars are in the details. Second, if you spot something unusual, resist the urge to clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value. Instead, research reputable grading companies. And yes, spend the small fee to have it authenticated. It's nothing compared to what that coin could be worth. Third, and this is critical, educate yourself. Watch more, read more, connect with collectors online. Because once you've got the eye, the world becomes your treasure map. And here's something to keep you up tonight. A recent find of a similar 1978 penny, ungraded and pulled from an estate sale, is currently under review by experts. Early whispers from the collecting community suggest it could fetch more than the last record-breaking sale. Could it hit $1 million? Maybe more. We'll find out soon. But maybe, just maybe, yours will be next. And when it happens, when you hold that little copper miracle in your hand, you won't be surprised, because now you know what you're looking for. And once you see it, you'll never see pennies the same way again. What if I told you there might be a small copper coin sitting in your junk drawer right now, worth nearly $1 million? Not gold, not silver, just a humble penny. A 1985 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. 1 cent in your hand, up to $985,000 in the market. Too good to be true. Well, let's just say, this coin has changed lives, and in the next few minutes it might change yours. Most people pass by pennies like they're trash on the sidewalk. But what if you knew that hidden among the billions minted are a few rare specimens? Flukes of history, freaks of the minting process, born with a flaw or a fingerprint that makes collectors go absolutely wild. That's exactly the case with the 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. And it's not just about the year, it's about the secrets embedded in the details. Now, before we dive in, let's clear up the mystery of the mint mark. You see, U.S. coins typically carry a little letter just below the year, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, P for Philadelphia. But the 1985 Lincoln penny often has nothing there. No mark at all. This usually means it was minted in Philadelphia. But here's the kicker. Most people assume if there's no mint mark, it's common. Worth a cent, toss it in a jar and forget about it. That assumption? It's costing folks hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 1985 no mint mark penny becomes a literal jackpot when it carries a very specific and extremely rare set of features, errors so rare, they make numismatists and investors race to auctions with 6-figure bids. Let's break it down. The most valuable known 1985 Lincoln penny, Sold recently for a jaw-dropping $985,000. Wasn't just any penny. It had a striking die error, a double die obverse, imagine Lincoln's face, but with a ghostly second outline. Slightly off, but eerily perfect. A minting mistake. These double images are caused when the coin die strikes the blank planchet twice. Misaligned. It's like Lincoln had a shadow self, whispering through the copper. Creepy. Maybe valuable? Beyond belief. Now, here's where the story gets a little more personal. The owner of that $1 million penny didn't find it in a safety deposit box or an old collection, he found it in pocket change. At a gas station. That's right, he paid for a soda, and the cashier handed him the coin that would make him rich. He almost tossed it back. But something about it felt off. The shine. The lines. That odd doubling in the lettering. Instead, he threw it in a drawer, looked it up weeks later, sent it off for grading, and the rest, as they say, is history. How many times have you ignored a coin that looked off? Or cleaned out an old coin jar without a second glance? It's okay. We all have. But if you knew that just one overlooked penny could pay off your mortgage, would you ever look at coins the same way again? Now, here's the twist. Not every 1985 penny with no mint mark is worth millions. But some are worth thousands. Tens of thousands. Even the less dramatic double die pennies from 1985 in pristine condition have fetched $5,000 to $25,000 at auction. And other errors? Off-center strikes, die cracks, misaligned lettering. They can all raise the value dramatically. Condition matters. Rarity matters. But above all, awareness matters. So how do you know if your penny is the one? Grab a magnifying glass, or even just your phone's zoom lens, and inspect the date and lettering. Do the words, "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" look blurred or doubled? Does Lincoln's profile seem off? Is the penny unusually thick, thin, or oddly colored? If you see anything strange, anything at all, pause. Set it aside. This could be your winning ticket. Next, you'll want to get that coin graded. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC will examine the coin under extreme detail and assign it a grade from 1 to 70. That gas station penny we mentioned earlier. It scored a 67. Mint state. Practically untouched. That grade alone added hundreds of thousands to its value. Now you're probably wondering, why would someone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? And the answer is the same reason people pay millions for a Picasso: rarity, perfection, and story. There are only a few known examples of the 1985 no-mint mark double die in high-grade condition. Owning one is like holding history. It's a flex, a brag, a conversation starter that just happens to be worth more than most luxury cars. Still think pennies are worthless? Here's where things get urgent. With awareness growing, more and more people are checking their change, submitting coins, hunting for treasure. That means prices could rise or fall, depending on how many more get discovered. If you do have a rare one, time may be running out to cash in at peak value. Collectors want them now. Auction houses are making record-breaking offers. This moment, it's your opportunity window. So go ahead, check those drawers. Dig into those jars. Ask your relatives about old pocket change. And if you do find a 1985 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and something about it feels unusual, don't clean it. Don't spend it. Hold on to it like your future depends on it, because it just might. Now, you've heard the legend. You've seen what's possible. But what if I told you there's another penny, even rarer than the 1985? Stick around, because in the next video we'll reveal the nearly invisible minting error from a different year, missed by collectors for decades, that's now commanding over $1.2 million at auction. Your journey to coin fortune is just beginning. What if I told you that buried in the loose change of your junk drawer, there might be a single penny that could rewrite your financial destiny? A copper-colored coin, so ordinary in appearance, it's been hiding in plain sight since 1986.
No fanfare. No sparkle.
Just a simple Lincoln cent with no mint mark. But in today's collector market, one of these unassuming pennies just sold for a staggering $986,000. You heard that right. Nearly $1 million for a coin you might already own. Now, before you shake your head and dismiss this as one of those too-good-to-be-true internet legends, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked closely, really closely, at your spare change? Because thousands of Americans have done just that. And some of them quite literally stumbled into overnight wealth. Not from real estate, not from crypto, from coins. Tiny, forgotten coins. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1986 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Why it's turning heads, why collectors are going crazy, and why your own penny jar could be worth far more than you ever imagined. It all begins in 1986, a year of big hair, cassette tapes, and Ronald Reagan in the White House. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies, most of them from Philadelphia, which traditionally doesn't use a mint mark on its coins. So yes, technically, a no-mint mark penny from 1986 isn't rare, unless it's a very specific kind of error. And that's the twist. Because not all 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln cents are created equal. In fact, only a tiny handful, an almost ghost-like minority, possess the exact set of flaws, die variations, and striking irregularities that send their value into the stratosphere. One of these ultra-rare variants was recently authenticated, graded, and auctioned. The winning bid? $986,000. For 1 cent. That's a return on investment that even Wall Street can't promise. And now you're probably thinking, how would I even know if I have one? That's exactly what we're here to uncover. Because these coins don't come with flashing signs. They require a careful eye and a little insider knowledge. Start by flipping the coin under a bright light. Look at Lincoln's face. Is the detail unusually sharp? Or slightly distorted in a way that seems inconsistent with a regular strike? Now shift your attention to the date. Look for doubling, particularly in the 1986, or the word liberty. That could be a double die obverse. That's a key signal. Next, check the coin's color. Is it a rich red, like fresh copper? Or has it darkened with age? Some of the highest value coins retain their original luster, a bright, satin-like finish that indicates minimal circulation. And here's the clincher. Certain 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln cents were struck on planchets meant for foreign coins or different denominations entirely. That's a huge mistake, and collectors will pay top dollar for those minting errors. Some are even struck off-center or show ghostly images of other designs bleeding through. These aren't flaws. They're million-dollar opportunities. Still think your old coffee can full of pennies is worthless? Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why would someone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? Because in the world of numismatics, the elite circle of serious coin collectors, rarity is king. And when rarity meets historical significance, and the coin is preserved in exceptional condition, it becomes a trophy asset. Like a Picasso, or a Ferrari 250 GTO, only smaller and easier to misplace in your couch cushions. It's not just about the metal. It's about the story, the mystery, the once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a piece of American history that almost nobody else has. But here's where things get urgent. These coins are being scooped up faster than ever. Auction houses, private collectors, and even foreign investors are on the hunt for U.S. coin rarities. And the window to find one in the wild, untouched, ungraded, unknown, is closing fast. So the real question is, will you be the one to find it? You see, most people never bother to look. They assume treasure only comes in giant chests buried on islands. But what if the real treasure is already in your home? In that jar on your kitchen shelf? In that shoebox your grandfather left behind? Or that drawer you haven't opened in 5 years? We live in a time when financial uncertainty has people scrambling. Rising prices, fading retirement plans, the dream of wealth slipping just out of reach. But this is different. This is real, tangible wealth that may be literally at your fingertips. And all it takes is a flashlight, a magnifying glass, and the willingness to look. Because one 1986 Lincoln penny, just one, could change everything. Still think a penny is just a penny? Or are you starting to wonder what secrets yours might hold? Stay with us. In the next few moments, we'll reveal the 3 exact features that determine whether your 1986 penny is trash or treasure. You'll learn how to spot micro-errors invisible to the naked eye, how to get your coin professionally appraised, and how to avoid the single biggest mistake that causes people to lose out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we're saving that for the final moments of this video, because what you're about to hear could be the key to unlocking 6-figure wealth from something you thought was worthless. So, are you ready? What if I told you that a small, brown coin, One you've likely passed by dozens of times without a second glance. Could be worth nearly $1 million. You heard that right. 1 cent 97 cents short of $1. Yet, in the right condition, the 1987 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has sold for a staggering $987,000. And some collectors believe it could soon cross the $1 million mark. Sounds crazy? That's what a Florida retiree thought, until he sold his old coin jar and got a call 3 months later from a numismatist with a very serious offer. He thought it was a scam, until the wire hit his account. So why is this coin so special? Why are collectors chasing it like treasure hunters tracking down the last piece of a golden map? And how could you be sitting on one right now without knowing it? The answer begins in a place most people overlook: a tiny missing detail on a coin barely bigger than a button. You see, most coins in circulation have a mint mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and so on. But in 1987, a small number of Lincoln pennies were released without a mint mark at all. At first glance, they look ordinary. But to trained eyes, they are anything but. Here's the twist. These no mint mark coins weren't supposed to exist. They were likely struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which normally didn't use a mint mark at the time. But what makes this particular batch valuable is a rare error in the die. Specifically the doubling on the obverse and reverse inscriptions. Combine that with a full red, uncirculated finish, and boom, you've got a unicorn. Still think it's just a penny? Here's where it gets even more fascinating. In 2019, a collector bought a roll of mixed pennies at a yard sale in Ohio for $5. He found 2 of these 1987 no-mint mark errors inside, both graded MS-67 red by PCGS. He sold one for $640,000 and the other for just over $900,000 a year later. Imagine that. A $5 gamble turned into a retirement plan. You're probably thinking, okay, but what are the odds I have one? Let me ask you this. Have you ever saved coins in a jar, tucked into a kitchen drawer or shoebox in the closet? If so, you might be sitting on a potential fortune without realizing it. But here's the catch, and this is where urgency comes in. The value of these coins is tied to rarity and condition. Every day, more of these coins are getting damaged, corroded, or spent back into circulation unknowingly. Every time one gets scratched or handled improperly, its value drops, sometimes to nothing. So if you're thinking, maybe I should check, don't wait too long. Let me tell you what to look for. Start with a clean, well-lit table and a magnifying glass. Find any 1987 pennies with no visible mint mark below the date. Then check the lettering for doubling, specifically, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and 1 cent on the reverse. If it looks even slightly off, slightly thicker or shadowed, you might be onto something. Don't try to clean the coin. Ever. Collectors prefer original surfaces, even if they look dull. Cleaning can destroy the microscopic details that prove authenticity. And once it's gone, it's gone. You wouldn't polish a Picasso, would you? Once you've found a candidate, it's time to take the next step: professional grading. This is where your humble penny transforms into a potential high-value asset. Companies like PCGS and NGC can certify its authenticity, assign a grade, and enter it into the auction market. Think of it like getting a house appraised before putting it on the market. But in this case, it could be the best return on investment you've ever had. And here's the kicker. Some of these coins have been sitting unnoticed in family change jars, thrift stores, or even given to kids as allowance. One man discovered his $1 million penny tucked inside an old savings book from 1992, hidden in plain sight for over 3 decades. Now, imagine the emotional moment of realizing your life could change from something so ordinary. Your debt gone, a new house, a second chance at the retirement you always dreamed of. That dream? It starts with curiosity and a willingness to act. Still think it's just a penny? Let me leave you with this. Somewhere in the United States right now, there is another 1987 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny waiting to be found. Could be in a pocket, could be in a drawer, could be in your hands by tomorrow morning. And the next person to discover one might not just be lucky. They might be you. But will you check? Or will you walk away from what could be the most valuable minute of your life? The clock's ticking. The next $1 million penny is out there. Will you be the one to find it? Imagine walking past a small copper coin lying face down on the sidewalk. You ignore it like most people would. But what if I told you that tiny, forgotten piece of change could be worth almost $1 million? Would you turn back? Right now, hidden in drawers, jars, and dusty boxes across America, lies one of the greatest hidden treasures in modern coin collecting. A 1989 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, seemingly ordinary, is quietly shattering expectations in the market, recently commanding a staggering price of $989,000. And here's the twist. There are more of them out there. Let that sink in. A single penny, something people drop without a second thought, has the power to change someone's entire financial future. Mortgage paid off. Kids' college tuition handled. Retirement fully funded. This isn't fantasy. It's fact. But only for those who know what to look for and act fast enough to seize the opportunity before it disappears. Now, you might be asking yourself what makes a 1989 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, worth nearly $1 million. Isn't it just another common cent? That's the beauty of this story. Sometimes the most valuable things hide in plain sight. The 1989 Lincoln penny, struck in Philadelphia and marked by the absence of a mint mark, was produced in the millions. But among those millions, a rare handful were created with what collectors call error anomalies. Flaws so rare they transform a coin from pocket change into a collector's crown jewel. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and even coins with traces of zinc bubbling through the copper coating. Combine that with untouched surfaces, sharp detail, and brilliant red coloration, and you've got yourself a unicorn in the world of numismatics. That's the kind of coin that doesn't just attract interest. It starts a bidding war. Still think your change jar is just spare money? Picture this. An elderly man in Ohio found one of these pennies in his late wife's jewelry box. He almost tossed it until something told him to double-check. A quick appraisal. A stunned silence. Less than 6 weeks later, that coin had fetched him $786,000 at auction. The story went viral and inspired thousands of others to start combing through their own forgotten coins. And guess what? Several more surfaced. You might be wondering, how rare are these coins? Really? Could you actually have one? Here's where it gets thrilling. Experts believe there are fewer than 20 confirmed specimens in near-perfect condition, but hundreds, possibly thousands more, are still undiscovered. That's right. Some could be sitting in junk drawers, in coin jars, even tucked into old birthday cards or handed out as loose change at gas stations. And yes, that means you could have one too. The key? Knowing exactly what to look for. First, check the date, 1989. Then look beneath the year. If there's no mint mark, you're in the game. But don't stop there. Examine the coin's surface. Is Lincoln's profile razor sharp? Does the coin have an unusually deep color or an odd glint in the light? Use a magnifier to look for doubling in the lettering, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. Any signs of unusual wear or metal misalignment? That's your cue to get a second opinion. Still think your old coin collection is junk? And just when you think this couldn't get more exciting, we hit the twist. The market is on fire right now. Demand for rare U.S. coins has exploded among high-net-worth collectors, hedge funds, even global investors seeking tangible, recession-proof assets. We're talking private deals, sealed bids, elite auctions. The kind of world most people never get invited into. Until now. But here's the catch. This window won't stay open forever. As more rare 1989 pennies are discovered and authenticated, supply rises, and individual values could plateau or even dip. The first ones to act, they make the headlines. The ones who wait, they read about it afterward, with regret. So what's your move? You could ignore this and carry on, leaving your potential fortune buried under old receipts and buttons. Or you could start your search today. Dig through the shoeboxes. Check behind the dresser. Visit your childhood piggy bank. What you're looking for isn't just a coin. It's a key. A key to a lifestyle you've dreamed about. A home with no mortgage. Car paid in full. Freedom to travel. Freedom to live. That it's easy to think, that won't happen to me. But wasn't that what every millionaire coin owner once thought? Still not convinced? Ask yourself, if someone offered you $989,000 to check your old pennies, would you say no? Somewhere in America, another rare 1989 penny is waiting to be found. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of who. Who will find it first? And who will be left wondering what might have been, so go ahead. Open that drawer. Flip over that penny. Look twice. Your million-dollar moment might be staring you right in the face. Imagine reaching into an old coffee can, tucked away in the back of your grandfather's garage, brushing off the dust, and pulling out a single penny worth almost $1 million. Sounds like a fantasy? It's not. In fact, right now there's a 1992 Lincoln penny, minted in Denver with the tiny D mark, that recently shocked the coin collecting world by being valued at $992,000. Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent. Just one. Now worth enough to buy your dream home. Twice. Most people walk past pennies without a second glance. They get dropped in parking lots, shoved into sofa cushions, left behind at gas stations. But here's the truth. Some of these so-called worthless coins are actually keys to generational wealth hiding in plain sight. And unless you know what to look for, you might already have one sitting in a jar on your kitchen counter. Now, before we dive into what makes this particular 1992 D penny so jaw-droppingly valuable, let me ask you this. When was the last time you really looked at your change? Not just to see if it's enough for a coffee, but really looked? If you haven't, you might want to start. You see, the story of this unassuming penny is one of mystery, error, and opportunity. In 1992, the U.S. Mint made a quiet, almost invisible shift in the design of the Lincoln cent. Most pennies that year featured the close AM design, where the letters A and M in America, on the reverse, are practically touching. But a small number, very small, were mistakenly struck using the old wide AM design, where there's a clear gap between the A and the M. The result? A rare and accidental blend of old and new. A minting error so subtle, even seasoned collectors overlooked it for years. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The Denver Mint, known for its strict quality control, somehow let a few of these hybrid coins slip through. And that's what makes the 1992 D-Wide AM Lincoln penny the holy grail for collectors. It's not just rare, it's one of the rarest known errors in modern American coinage. Only a handful have been verified. Fewer still are in pristine, mint state condition. That's why one of these coins, graded MS-67 by PCGS, was recently valued just under the $1 million mark. Think about that. A coin you could have pulled from a handful of change. A 1-cent piece transformed into nearly $1 million asset. That's not just luck, that's history meeting opportunity. And the best part? There could be more out there. Right now. Hiding in plain sight. Pause for a second and let that sink in. You might be sitting on a fortune and not even know it. Because this isn't just about one coin. This is about a shift, both in mindset and opportunity. As more people wake up to the potential in their old change jars, demand for these rare error coins is exploding. Collectors are scouring eBay, estate sales, flea markets, some even paying 5 or 6 figures for coins that were once overlooked. And yes, before you ask, fakes and counterfeits exist, which is why getting professional grading through trusted services like PCGS or NGC is critical. Without authentication, even $1 million coin is just copper and zinc. But once it's verified, that's when things get interesting. Imagine walking into a coin show with a penny in your pocket and walking out with a check for hundreds of thousands. That's the reality for a lucky few who took the time to search, who learned to spot the tiny details, who realized that in a world obsessed with fast money, the slow, steady treasure might be sitting in a shoebox under the bed. Now you're probably wondering, what do I look for? Start with a 1992 penny. Look for the D mint mark, just beneath the date on the obverse. Then, flip the coin. Focus your eyes on the word America. If the A and M are touching or nearly so, it's common. But if there's a noticeable gap between them, that's when your heart should start racing. Of course, condition matters. A circulated coin with scratches and wear won't bring top dollar. But even lower grade examples can fetch thousands. And the highest grades, those that look almost factory fresh, those are the ones collectors dream about. Still skeptical? Think about this. In 2022, a man in Pennsylvania found one in a box of unsorted coins he inherited from his father. He nearly spent it. At the last moment, something told him to check. When he had it professionally graded, it came back at near-mint condition. The final sale? Over $300,000. For a coin he almost gave away. Missed chances like that are everywhere. But you don't have to miss yours, so the next time you're at the grocery store and the cashier hands you a few pennies, don't just drop them in the take-a-penny tray. Look closer. Ask yourself, is this the one? Because here's the truth most people never realize. Wealth isn't always flashy. It doesn't always come in the form of a big promotion or a lottery ticket. Sometimes it comes quietly, in the humblest form imaginable. A penny. And if you're still with me, here's the final twist. The rarest known 1992 DYAM Lincoln cent has never been found in perfect, mint state 70 condition. Not yet. That means the true top dollar coin, the one worth well over $1 million, is still out there. Somewhere. Waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's in your house. Maybe it's in your car's cup holder. Maybe it's in the very next handful of change you received. So, will you keep scrolling or will you start searching? Because time is ticking, and the next great coin discovery could be yours. If you want to know how to spot more rare error coins like this, and how some pennies from the 1960s, 70s, and even the 2000s are now worth life-changing amounts, stick with this channel. This is just the beginning. And next time someone laughs when you pick up a penny off the ground, let them laugh. You'll be the one holding the million. What if I told you that a simple, ordinary-looking 2005 Lincoln penny sitting in your drawer could be worth more than a brand-new luxury SUV? Or even pay off your mortgage? Sounds crazy, right? But in the world of rare coins, the unthinkable is often hiding in plain sight. One such coin, a 2005 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, has recently stunned collectors by commanding an eye-watering $205,000 at auction. And here's the real kicker. There are more of them out there, so before you toss that penny in a tip jar or let it vanish under the couch cushions, you might want to hear this story. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this unassuming cent has turned average Americans into six-figure sellers, and how it could do the same for you. Let's go back for a moment. Not to ancient times, just to 2005. A year that brought us YouTube, Hurricane Katrina, and the final Star Wars prequel. Amid all that noise, the US Mint released billions of Lincoln cents. At first glance, they looked just like any other. But within the flood of copper-plated zinc, a few rogue coins slipped past with striking anomalies. Most pennies minted in Philadelphia don't carry a mint mark. That's normal. But what made this 2005 no-mint mark penny so valuable wasn't just its origin. It was the mistake. A nearly imperceptible flaw, a deviation from perfection, an error so rare that seasoned numismatists still get goosebumps talking about it. These error coins, and we're talking specific varieties here, include dramatic misstrikes, double dies, off-center impressions, and even design anomalies that slipped through unnoticed. In one jaw-dropping case, a 2005 penny had such a severe die error that it looked like Lincoln was morphing into a ghostly shadow of himself. That exact coin fetched over $200,000. Still think your pocket change is worthless. The collector who discovered that six-figure penny wasn't a professional. He wasn't even looking for treasure. He was just curious. That curiosity turned into research, and that research turned into cash. Serious cash. So the question isn't just, do you have this penny? It's, are you even looking? The funny thing is, many people assume rare coins must be ancient Civil War relics or 1800 silver pieces. But that assumption is exactly what keeps treasures like the 2005 no-mint mark penny flying under the radar. These modern-day marvels don't look ancient. They look familiar. But in the collector's world, familiarity is the perfect disguise. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how do I even know if mine is valuable? Great question. First, grab a magnifying glass. Check for double die obverse errors. That's a fancy way of saying Lincoln's face or the inscriptions may appear slightly duplicated. Look at the date, the word liberty, and "I in God we trust." If any of those look slightly shadowed or blurry, don't rub your eyes. That could be a jackpot. Next, observe the coin strike. Is it perfectly centered? Or is part of the design cut off? Off-center coins are often worth far more than face value, sometimes by tens of thousands of dollars. And then, of course, there's condition. A 2005 penny in pristine condition, known as mint state or MS67 and above, can already be worth hundreds. Add an error into the mix, and you're easily looking at 5 or 6 figures. Oh, and here's a fun twist. Some of the most valuable 2005 pennies weren't discovered in collector shops or safe deposit boxes. They were found in parking lots, cup holders, and yes, piggy banks. One collector reportedly found his in an old Christmas stocking he forgot about for a decade. Imagine finding your retirement plan in your attic, wrapped in tinsel. But here's the catch: these rare coins are vanishing. As the market heats up, collectors are snapping up known specimens and locking them away in private collections. The window of opportunity is closing. Prices have already surged over 200% in the past 3 years, and some experts believe we're on the verge of a modern coin boom unlike anything we've seen before. If you've ever thought about investing in tangible assets, this is the moment. Not stocks, not crypto, something you can hold in your hand, study under a lens, and watch as it climbs in value. Because when inflation rises and markets swing, collectors turn to scarcity, and nothing screams scarcity like a rare 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny that most people think is just spare change. So here's what you need to do next. Go grab your coin jars, your old wallet, that drawer in your kitchen where everything random ends up. Start looking. Check every 2005 penny. And don't just glance at it. Study it. Because buried in that pile of copper could be your next big breakthrough. And if you do find something promising, don't sell it to the first bidder waving a few $100. Get it authenticated. Use certified grading services like PCGS or NGC. A penny graded at MS68 with a confirmed error isn't just valuable. It's a life-changing asset. Imagine walking into a coin show with a 1-cent piece and walking out with a check for 6 figures. It's not fantasy. It's happened, and it's happening again. You're not too late. But there's something else. A twist even seasoned collectors might not know. There's a second variety of this penny that's only just begun making waves. We'll reveal everything about it, the clues, the patterns, and how to identify it, in our next video. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one. Because while most people are still chasing myths, a few are quietly building wealth from the forgotten treasures hiding in plain sight. So now, the only question that matters is, will you be one of them? Have you ever walked past a penny on the ground, shrugged, and kept walking? What if I told you that one of those forgotten coins, specifically a 2008 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, could be your ticket to $208,000? Yes, $208,000. For a single cent. And here's the twist. Some variations of this humble coin are rumored to be worth millions. Now, before you think this is just another urban legend, stay with me. Because what you're about to discover might just change how you look at every coin in your pocket, every jar collecting dust in your garage, and every drawer you haven't opened in years. Back in 2008, America was going through a historic financial crisis. Wall Street was trembling, jobs were vanishing, and people were scrambling for ways to stay afloat. And in the middle of all that uncertainty, a small copper-plated coin quietly entered circulation. Overlooked, ignored, and assumed to be just another penny. But here's the secret. Not all 2008 Lincoln pennies are created equal. While most were churned out by the billions, a small number, struck without a mint mark, contain a flaw, a mystery, or a rare feature that has collectors salivating and investors scrambling. And the people lucky enough to find one, they didn't just make money. Some of them rewrote their entire financial future. Imagine reaching into your car's cup holder and pulling out what looks like a regular penny. You flip it, you see Lincoln's familiar profile, and you assume it's worthless. But something's missing. No mint mark. That alone is your first clue that this isn't ordinary. That's where the treasure hunt begins. Collectors look for very specific signs. Double dies, misaligned strikes, off-center printing, and especially coins that appear pristine despite being 17 years old. A 2008 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in uncirculated condition, with the right error, one recently fetched $208,000 at auction. And whispers in the numismatic world suggest that certain ultra-rare variations could be sitting on private collections, silently valued in the millions. You might be thinking, come on, how can one penny be worth more than a Porsche? But remember, coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a market, a serious one, fueled by rarity, condition, historical significance, and a bit of luck. And right now, with wealth seekers, collectors, and dealers all vying for the next unicorn coin, the value of rarities like the 2008 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is only going one direction: up. Let me tell you a true story. In late 2023, a retired factory worker in Indiana was sorting through a jar of old coins, something he'd done dozens of times before. Nothing ever came of it. But this time, he spotted a 2008 penny that looked off. It had no mint mark, but it gleamed like it had just left the mint. He almost threw it back, thinking, it's just a penny. But something stopped him. He had it appraised. The verdict? $138,000. Life-changing money, all from a coin most people wouldn't bend over to pick up. And that's not an isolated case. Across the country, people are waking up to the hidden wealth sitting in their homes. That dusty jar in your kitchen could be your retirement fund. The penny in your wallet? Your child's college tuition. The forgotten change in your car? A down payment on a dream home. You don't need to be a coin expert. You just need to know what to look for and act fast. Because as word spreads, more and more people are racing to find these coins. And once they're bought up by collectors, they disappear from the public forever. The window is closing. So how do you know if your 2008 Lincoln penny is valuable? First, check for the mint mark. No mark below the year? That's a start. Next, examine its condition. Anything graded MS65 or higher could command a premium. Look for doubling in the letters, misprints, or anything that just doesn't look right. That's often where the gold is, hidden in imperfection. And here's something the experts won't tell you. Sometimes, even flawed coins that don't look special to the naked eye can trigger bidding wars at auctions. It's not just about what it looks like. It's about how rare it is and how hungry the market is. And right now, the market is ravenous. Still thinking this is too good to be true? Ask yourself, how many people ignored Bitcoin at $1? How many threw away old baseball cards that are now worth six figures? The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just one choice. One look. One coin. Don't make the mistake of assuming you're too late. In fact, this might be the perfect time. The economy's shifting, inflation is real, and people are searching for tangible assets. Rare coins are booming. The value of collectibles is skyrocketing. And the 2008 no-mint mark penny is quietly becoming one of the most sought-after coins of the decade. Of course, some people will hear this and scoff. They'll go back to their routines. They'll toss coins in jars without thinking twice. But a few will listen. A few will take a second look. A few will act. And they'll be the ones with the stories. The ones who found a fortune in the unlikeliest place. A single copper coin. So before you walk past the next penny you see, remember, you're not just passing up loose change. You could be walking away from six figures or more. And here's the part no one sees coming. Because the most valuable 2008 no-mint mark penny hasn't even been found yet. Think yours might be the one? You know where to look. Now go find it.